What is up, guys? My adventure for today is actually something I've been wanting to do for a long time and just now got around to. And that is building a custom bumper for my pickup. So obviously there's a lot of fancy bumpers out there in the market. I could go out and buy one, but I don't want to go out there and spend $1,000 on one, particularly since I don't actually like a lot of the designs that are out there. Some of the ones that are more off-road focused don't offer the protection that I want, or some of the more utilitarian uses, I guess. But some of the more work style bumpers just look huge and clunky, and I don't like it. So this is what I've come up with. It's a kind of a hybrid of the two. From the front, I've got good clearance for the wheels, kind of off-road inspired. The center here is somewhat low profile. A lot of the other ones stick way down and it just looks disgusting. Just this huge chunk of metal hanging off the front. But I've also got this good flat area I'm going to use for my license plates, some LED lights, and then some D-rings that I'm going to put out on the edges. So once it's all said and done, I'm also going to have some bars, a cage, whichever you want to call it, going over the top there too. But as far as the parts that I'm having done right now, it's just going to be this right here. Where I work, one of the sister companies does a lot of custom manufacturing work, a lot of sheet metal stuff. So I have made these into drawings, into AutoCAD files. I'm working in SolidWorks here. But these have been made into 2D AutoCAD files. They are getting laser cut out, and then they will be formed on a press brake. So there will be 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and then on the other side they're just mirrors of these 3 pieces. Sorry, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then this one out here is number 4. Like I said, these ones are just mirrored over to there. So pretty simple. This is like my 3rd rendition. I had a couple other designs. One of them I was going to end up having to cut and weld like 60 different pieces, and I honestly think it looked cooler than this one, but it just would have been a nightmare to make. So overall, this one is fairly simple, and I still think it looks pretty cool. Alrighty, so thanks to the miracle of video magic, this video can still make sense. This is the point where I realized I actually wanted to make a video on this. So I know there's other parts of the video before this. This is where I actually realized it. So I've already got it all tack welded together here. Just tack welding it together. I had to do a little bit of forming with a torch there where the bend wasn't complete on the ends. A little bit of grinding to get it together. Just the way sheet metal goes, some of the corners get kind of weird, so a little bit of grinding to get it together. And the tack welds, I wanted to make as small as possible in case I needed to make some small adjustments, because it's not all on the same level there. So where it angles up a little bit, if I need to adjust how much that comes up, I can still make some adjustments to fit the contours there, whatever. I didn't want to make any of it permanent quite yet. So this is just enough for me to get it up onto the pickup, get an idea of how it's going to look, make sure it's all going to fit right. All right, obviously at this point, I've already taken all of the hardware out. Over there. It is a total of 4 bolts, which it's actually kind of 2 in a way because they have that little 2-bolt doohickey there so that they can't back out. Anyway, pulled the bolts out of the end of the frame, pulled it off, super easy. Obviously, normally you would have to take the wires apart for the fog lights that are, you've got 1 fog light on each side. Can't really see it. That's the back of that one, back of that one. But for whatever reason, in the year of half of owning this pickup, I didn't realize that mine were not hooked up this entire time. So I basically just had a wire hanging up in the engine bay, pulled it down, got it out of the way, and it was ready to come off. So get the bumper off is super easy. So that's where we're at now. As far as actually being able to get it up in a place to test fit, this plastic here is in the way. it's catching on that corner right there. It's hitting right about here. It's not letting me slide it all the way in. So I'm going to use this little Dremel tool, whatever you want to call it. It's not the tool for the job, but it's the best one I got right now. Follow that line down. I'll make some sort of line to follow that down, do it on the other side. I'm probably gonna end up cutting more later, I think, but for right now, that'll be enough for me to get it on for the test fit. I've also got this little piece here hanging down from the headlight, but it's actually like the inside of the headlight, so I can't try and trim that off in any way. I knew that was there, and I just decided, instead of trying to design around it, and if the parts didn't come out exactly right, it wasn't going to work anyway, so I went ahead, just made that a solid edge there, whatever, and then I will just come back with a saw as necessary to make that fit. So everything's in place. It really just test fits and clearances now, and hopefully should be pretty straightforward at this point. Alrighty, so I've got it held up here, and preliminary thoughts are there's a few issues, but that was to be expected. Although they're not coming quite where I thought they would. But anyway, the gap here, well, I guess as I get it more solid and whatnot, I'll be able to lift up on the jack, essentially close some of that gap, some of the vertical gap, so that'll clean up. The gap here though, straight above it, you can still see this. Okay, as I was saying, you can still see this gap through here, which basically this whole thing is out, sticking out further than I had thought it would be. Which, as far as aesthetics go, is not that big of a deal. I purposely designed this whole thing to be kind of a low profile, kind of slimline design, whatever. So compared to a lot of other bumpers, it's still fairly tight, still fairly compact, not obnoxiously large. So I'm not too worried about that. I was worried about this. I was like, this looks like shit. How am I going to fix this as far as like bending or whatever? And then I realized I've got enough scrap metal, honestly. Once I get this all welded up and in place, this whole thing's going to get painted later. I think if I just cut out a piece that'll roughly follow the headlight line there, I'll just weld it into there, grind it down smooth, paint it. You'll never know once it's all done. Next thing is that curve was supposed to be a continuation of the fender line, which, as you can see, it's a couple inches off. There is some play as far as how far forward or back I go with the bumper, but to be able to make this whole mess work, I'm gonna have to keep it pretty far back. I may move it out just a tad, like half inch maybe, but I'm definitely gonna have to do some cutting here, which won't be too hard. Really, it'll just be tracing it out as best as I can and then cutting it with a torch. No, just essentially just an inch offset or whatever I do, just coming straight off that edge, following the exact same path, and just moving it over an inch essentially. One thing I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, because it's actually kind of complicated, is if you look along here, that is supposed to be parallel with the line of the pickup, angled in slightly on both sides. So it's not just sitting crooked, it is actually angled in a little bit, which the camera actually doesn't show it. You can see it a little more to the naked eye than what the camera shows. So, couple things I can do is I can just grab a hold of that edge, yank it out, widen it out, which I don't want to do because, like I said, I want to keep it fairly low profile. As is, that inside edge is actually pretty well in line with the flare, so this is further out, so I don't know, I'm not 100% sure yet. So I could essentially bend it there. Either one of those would be fairly simple, or right here, which is just a larger edge to try and make a bend on. But there's also that piece down there, that would have to change with that as well. So I'm going to sit here and contemplate this for a while, figure out how I'm going to make that work, because that actually is going to have to change before I can move on with anything else. I mean, the deal with that edge, that'll all be finished once I get it bolted up. The same deal there. That's going to be once it's all bolted up, whatnot. But as far as like actually getting in place and figuring out what my brackets need to look like, how far in and out, whatever they need to be, that is actually going to be somewhat determined by where exactly this whole edge ends up. So I need to figure that out first. All right, so after having looked at this for 10-15 minutes at this point, I've come to a few conclusions. So first of all, if you look down the profile of the pickup, from getting down level with it, the bumper really is in line, really, for the most part. For whatever reason, it looks a little bit different from up above, but when you look at this way, it really is in line. So it's probably just because when you look at it like this, you're looking at like bumper, fender flare, and then the side of the pickup, which is recessed in. But when you look at it from the front, it really is in line. So I don't think I'm going to worry about that too much, especially since eventually I'm going to have a bar that goes over whatever the hell, some round tubing, and I may need the space for getting that welded on. So I think I may just leave that where it is for now. But for the angle, as far as it being angled in, which it most definitely is, I think what I'm going to do is, like I said, everything's just tack welded so far. So I think what I'm going to do is lay it on my welding table with this flat face down, put something in between from that end straight across to the other side over there, push it apart to where both sides are vertical, which when you get it set on the pickup will be parallel with the line of the pickup. Just push it out that way, weld everything solid, and that'll have it where I need as far as that goes. This here was a super wonky piece just because the geometry is kind of weird, and then like I was saying, just the way sheet metal bends, you get kind of weird deflections here. I grounded that one down a little bit, but anyway, it just doesn't go together quite right, so I kind of had to hold it in place as best I could and hope for the best. So I thought about essentially breaking this joint apart, trying to adjust it a little bit to try and fix the downstream issues. But issue is breaking this and this apart would have when I'm going to weld it back together, I would have a lot of weight hanging out here, and it would be very unwieldy. So I'd have to break it apart there as well, where the other joint is. And anyway, it would end up being a shit ton of work, and I don't know that it would work anyway. If I'm lucky, I would gain, there's a little more of a gap here that I would like. I think I can pull some of it out, but it's probably not going to be perfect. But I mean, it would be hours of effort probably for a 1/4 inch if I'm lucky. I mean, honestly, there's only so much I can do right here. So, unfortunately, I think what I'm going to have to do is, like I said, just push that out, weld it. I don't know that I'll weld it fully solid yet, but at least get it close, and then start, well, actually, I guess since I got it up here, I'll try and get it squared up a little bit better and then start taking measurements for the mounting brackets, because there's nothing behind this except a 6-inch gap to the frame. Alrighty, I forgot to show you this until after I took it apart, but since there's no such thing as a 6-7 foot spreader bar, that blue bar over there in the corner, I put a clamp on it to hold that, Jesus Christ, to hold the bar to the end right there. Went across to that end, got it clamped on, and then I've got a little angle finder. It's in my pocket. One of these little deals. You just stick it on, and it tells you what the angle. My table is perfectly level, so it's just a matter of getting these set right. Once I had one end fixed with the clamps, I was then able to basically slide this end out along the bar. Got it where I wanted it, clamped it. So everything was all at 90. Put in, some of these are old, some of these are new. I'm still out of practice, hop off. Put some welds in here, enough, not a ton. I'll definitely come back and do more later, but enough to hold it in place for now. This was just tacked in here. Went ahead and added in a bead there. Same thing on the other side. Definitely not full welded, but just giving it some more rigidity. I won't have to be so careful with it now because it's not just tacks holding it all in place. So, and it should be square, hopefully, in theory. Alrighty, so the next step, now that that's out of the way, is to make the actual mounts for it. I crawled under, traced this out. It's not very precise, but I'm using a torch, so it's not going to come up precise anyway. So, traced it out with just whatever you call these ink pens. Traced out 2 of them. In the end, I'll have 4, 2 on each side of the frame, or Jesus, 1 on each side of the frame. So 4 total. But for now, since it's very much a work in progress, and this is quite thick, I don't know that it's half, but if it's not, it's damn close. And that'll definitely be enough for now, you know, provided I don't get in a wreck, which if I get in a wreck, it's dead anyway. So for now, this will work. I'm just gonna cut the 2 out, and yeah, I get to use this piece of shit. Alrighty, so you're probably confused what those are. So long story short, I went to go get the torch to cut the brackets out. Torch was out of gas. Grabbed some new tanks, whatever, messing with that. By the time, this is actually a whole new day. To stay on schedule for when I need this all done by, I was like, screw it, I'm not gonna do the camera for a while. I just need to get some stuff done. So, torched out the brackets. Had to do some cleaning up on them. I didn't get them smooth. Didn't want to put much time into grinding it. But I just took all the burrs off of it, whatever. Put it under test fit, kind of like I did before, just to see how everything was lining up. I will show you here. Since I'm only doing the 2 for now, I wanted to put them on the outside to give them the most support. Well, when I crawled under it, I was looking here. On this side, I didn't see that. Totally didn't even think about it. So I ended up having about 1.5 inches too much of the length of my bracket. I made them plenty long, you know, better too much than too little, which ended up running into that. So then I torched it again, cut some length down, got them to where they needed to be, measured them out, got them welded in place, realized that I suck at math, and I had done the math wrong, whatever, put them in the wrong spot, hit them with a hammer, knocked them off, re-welded them. We're all good to go now. I just did the same thing again, put it up and down on the jack stands, get it test fitted, got everything lined up how I wanted it to be. I think we're in pretty good shape. And I figured, since I had it under there, or up there, I guess, instead of trying to measure out the holes, whatnot, and try and, I don't know, there's just too much air in trying to measure things out, bring it down here, trying to get the drill started just where I wanted it. So while it was up there, I actually clamped the brackets to the side of the frame, got it freestanding by these, actually, so it was essentially how it would be, and just stuck a little drill bit through the existing holes in the frame to where I made contact. There. There's a lot of marks here, one of those, anyway. And that made my marks. The plan was to go straight through. Well, it turns out all of my drill bits suck, and the drill's not great either, but whatever. But the drill bits were trash that I had, so I'll probably have to pick some up so where I can actually get through that. But I've got marks to where I will be able to get holes in that. The positions are all good. They're not too close to the edge. That's what I was trying to avoid. Let's see, this one is right here. This one's right there. So I've got plenty of room for a 1/2 inch hole. So at this point, it is just going to be going back for getting all the welding done. You know, filling all this that hasn't been touched. Since it's on the backside, I mean, this stuff looks kind of like crap, I'll be honest. I think for right now, I'm just going to go straight over it. Don't even care. Because this is on the backside, it's all going to get painted when it's all said and done. So, not too worried about it. The front side, however, though, I will be more clean with, but the front side's also going to get ground down to make it smooth. So, that is the next step. And this is actually my favorite part. I do like welding, so we will see how this goes. Alrighty, just got the welding all done. Went ahead, flipped it over, hit both sides. Tried to put as little on the front side as I can because it's just that much less I'll have to grind off to get it all smooth. But I can tell I'm out of practice. Haven't done this in a while. Kind of sucked at it on the inside, but started to get the hang of it. It's kind of cool to see spots like that where the bracket was, and I put a ton of material. I put like 5 runs on each side of it to give it plenty of support, and then just to see the color change all the way through. But like I said, this will all get painted, so not too worried about that though. But time to do a little bit of grinding. It's getting pretty late. I don't know if I'll get it all done tonight, but get a start on it. And then hopefully I will get some drill bits that don't suck and hopefully have it on the pickup tomorrow. Alrighty guys, here we are back in the computer room. Hope you like my Photoshop skills, my computer background. So as I mentioned before, I kind of had to quit videoing for a little bit to stay on schedule for where I needed to be for getting that part of the project done. So I actually didn't get as much filmed as I thought, but I did get all the grinding done that night. And because of the way I welded the brackets, the weld, as it cooled, actually pulled the brackets towards each other a little bit. And I ended up having to heat them up with a torch and then hit them with a hammer to bend them back out to where it would actually fit on the frame, because it did fit before, but not after I welded it, put all that weld material on. So that was a little bit of a trick, but simple enough. Very simple process. Literally just heating it up, get it red hot, and then smack the crap out of it. So from there, I put it up onto the pickup, got the bolts in, and then from there it just went right up. So I will put up a picture of the actual bumper being on the pickup. Looks pretty good. Definitely has a long ways to go though. As I said, the cage, the lights, the D-rings, paint, everything got a long ways to go. But for right now, it's on there. It's structurally sound, and that's how it's going to roll for probably a couple weeks until I get some time to get back to it again. But just figured I'd let you know, this video is pretty long as is, so it's going to be a 2-part, so, or a 3-part, we'll see. Alrighty, thanks for watching this video.